Hey everybody, this is Stuart with Wine on the Diamond. Today I'm going to be reviewing the 2018 Calvet Brut Rosé, specifically Calvet Bordeaux, Crémant de Bordeaux Brut Rosé 2018. It's 12% alcohol by volume, and I paid $14 for it at Costco. This is made from Cabernet Franc. It does use the traditional method, so it is similar in preparation to the way it is done in places like Champagne or a method Cap Classique in South Africa, but they can't label it Champagne because it, go ahead and fill in the blank here. That's right, it's not from the Champagne region of France. So they just have to name it a Crémant instead and sell it at a different price. If this was from Champagne, it'd probably be like $35, $40 at a minimum. But it's not, so I get it much cheaper, and it still is probably going to be a pretty good quality. So let's see how it rates. I'm getting better at it. All right, so color's going to be a little bit hard to determine on this because I need some of the bubbles to clear up. So give me a minute here. From a color standpoint, man, it's like this borderline between pink and salmon. I'm gonna go ahead and give you a pale salmon, very pale salmon, no artifacts, no cloudiness. So, on the nose, well, that is interesting. The first thing I'm getting on here is like a cantaloupe with a little bit of strawberry, a little bit of raspberry, a little bit of red cherry, like a maraschino cherry that you kind of pop out of the jar. There's also a little bit of pear, very, very small amount of red apple. It's like an herb. It's like a really weak sage. I was not expecting that at all. Not the herb. Maybe some of the other stuff. Even then, the red apple, not so much. The pear, I could probably see it coming in, but not that much still. I was expecting more red fruit. The fact it got some other stuff in here is a little bit interesting. There's also a touch, just a touch, of like a lightly toasted almond. And like raw biscuit dough. Like the Pillsbury, like pop it open and smell it. That's what it kind of has a hint of. But how does it taste? High acid. The mousse, it's not an ultra fine mousse. It has I'd say it's not rough. If there was like a medium category for mousse, it's in medium. So medium mousse. The interesting thing about the mousse is texturally, it doesn't feel like a foam. It really does feel like a lot of individual bubbles that are just kind of stuck together and rolling around in your palate. Think of it like microcarbonated caviar for the palate. That's kind of what it reminds me of, because you can kind of feel a lot of the individual elements of those bubbles. Anyway, in terms of the fruit has a medium plus intensity. Like I said, high acid. It is a medium minus body wine. Finish, medium minus finish. It really does have a lot of the elements that you would be expecting from a traditional method rosé. You get a little bit of that breadiness. You get a little bit of sort of that kind of almondy note that sometimes you can get a little bit of nuttiness in those wines. You also get just a really strong primary fruit element in this wine. All of those fruits are there. As a matter of fact, that red apple, though it was barely in the palate, actually kicks in along with that pear. Both of those things are even more elevated. The maraschino cherry actually gets dialed back by those influences. So everything ends up balancing out pretty well between the red fruit, the apple, the pear, and the cherry. Anyway, with all that being said, let's get to the blick. From a balance standpoint, full point, no complaints. Length, medium minus finish, 0 points. Intensity, medium on the nose, medium plus on the palate, half a point. And in terms of complexity, I am getting a good breadth of primary and secondary elements, so I'm gonna go ahead and give you half a point. So in the end, you're a good wine as a just wine to drink. But really, the question we have to answer, as with all sparkling wines on this channel, is, does it shambong? All right, so if you are a regular on my channel, and you've watched my sparkling wine reviews in the past, you know that I have this little toy that was sent to me a while back called a Chambong, and it is a, don't spill out, I'm gonna make a mess, aren't I? I'm gonna make a mess. I have this toy. It is a device made for rapid sparkling wine consumption, or just if you want to use it for other wines, that's fine. I'm making a mess everywhere. I don't care. I'll clean it up later. So what I like to do is I like to see if this actually changes any of the characteristics. Does it make it feel more acidic? Does it make it have a different texture on the palate in terms of the mousse? Does it make you taste things differently? Like, will those red fruits go away and I get just an apple bomb whenever I taste this? Or is this just a totally futile exercise and it's gonna taste just like this and I get to pound a glass of wine in like a second? Either way, there's really no losing in this scenario. However, though, I will say this, and if you're watching at this point in the video, I could really use your help. This is like the original Chambong. They have so many nicer Chambongs out nowadays, so if you want me to get a nicer Chambong, tweet, Facebook comment, do whatever, email. If you want to write a snail mail letter, do it. Send those folks at Chambong a note and let them know some schmo on YouTube named Wine on the Dime is using their product in every sparkling wine video and could really use one of those much nicer Chambongs that are out there now. Anyway, with all that being said, and the shameless plugs aside, let's see how it works. So, is Chambong's okay? And here's why. A lot of the times when I do the Chambong test, I get some enhancement of it somehow. I get either the acid feels stronger, or the mousse feels different, or I get more flavors. In this case, everything just kind of dialed back. So it doesn't do anything painful. Like I've done some where you Chambong them and the acid and the carbonation hurt your throat going down because of how fast they get delivered. It doesn't have that effect. But the effect it does have is by muting everything, it actually makes it a little bit less enjoyable than sipping it out of the glass. So in this case, I'll say, you Chambong okay. It's not the Chambong's fault. It's just the way that this wine works in that device. Anyway, this has been Stuart with Wine on the Dime. If you liked today's video, please like, subscribe, and comment. Have you had the 2018 Calvet Brut Rosé? I'd be interested to know if you have. Have you tried it with a Chambong? Definitely leave a comment below if you've done that. Now I'll see you all again soon with another episode from Wine on the Dime.